What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a look at the last two leaders from OP-09. We thought they were going to be Buggy and Shanks because, let's face it, the set is about the four Emperors. The booster pack has the four Emperors on the front. We'd already seen Gear 5 Luffy and Blackbeard. It was a very sensible suggestion that we would be getting these as the last two leaders, but now we are, and that makes me very happy indeed, and hopefully we'll find time as we go through here to have a look at all of the leaders that have been revealed so far, because frankly, it would be rude to show you the last couple leaders, but then not go through all of them as a group. But I want to start off with Buggy here, because I've been waiting for a Buggy leader. I was annoyed. Wow, annoyed's probably a bit too strong. I was less than impressed that we got a Foxy leader and a second Rob Lucci leader in OP-07 before getting a Buggy leader. I love Rob Lucci, one of my favourite One Piece characters. Rob Lucci is awesome. But the idea that we got two Rob Lucci leaders and a Foxy before we got to a single Buggy? Nah, mate. That never sat right with me. Now, what we've got with Buggy here is a mono blue leader, 5,000 power, 5 life, and we've got activate main. You may rest 5 Don and trash a card from your hand, and then you get to play a cross-guild card from your hand. Now, here's the thing. This is doing nothing for the first couple of turns. It's at least turn 3 until you can use this, and then if you do, you're basically using like all your Don or all but one of your Dom in order to activate this skill, which is not ideal. So, and you got to trash a card from your hand as well, right? This is asking a lot, frankly. This is a very, very, very expensive skill. So the question then becomes, well, all right, have we got any really expensive cross-guild cards that make this worth it? Because if we do, I'm absolutely okay with this. If we don't, this leader is terrible. And one thing which I think is really important to point out at this stage, we've seen very little from OP-09, alright? We have not seen many cards from OP-09. There has got to be some expensive cross-guild cards in this set which make the Buggy leader much better. They're not just going to print this leader that makes you rest 5 Dom and trash a card from your hand to play a cross-guild character and not give you a decent cross-guild character. There is almost no chance whatsoever that actually happens. So just hold your horses for a little bit. Because right now, I went and had a little bit of a look, right? Over on the Japanese official card finder. And I looked for cross-guild cards. And we just don't really have any. So there's going to be some blue ones, and they've got to be blue because we're talking about Buggy being a blue leader. Right now, this leader is basically impossible to actually figure out how good it is. I have no idea if it's any good. And it's basically impossible at this point to figure it out. The greatness of this card, the rubbishness of this card, phrase it how you want to, is going to depend almost entirely on the cards we get from OP-09. So hold your horses. Sit tight. We are going to see something. We have to. But I have no idea how good this card is right now. And the only people that do have seen the other cards from OP-09. Because right now, it's a mystery. As for Shanks, 5,000 power, 5 life. And we've got activate main. When your opponent attacks, your opponent's leader or one of their characters gets minus 1,000 power for the turn. That's it. That's all it does. 5,000 power, mono red, and once a turn, it will basically give you a decent boost in a battle. And I'm not sure how good this is. Now, we might get some other cards that give us extra context later on, don't get me wrong, but this doesn't strike me as stunning off the base of it. Now, look, there's going to be certain advantages, right? By lowering somebody's power by 1,000, essentially, if you need a 3k counter, you can do it with one card with a 2k counter. If you need a 2k counter, you can use a 1k card instead. You can just bring a power that would take down one of your blockers, just down 1,000 power, and then it won't take out one of your blockers. There will be times this is fine, okay? I'm not saying this is a rubbish skill, and I'm not saying it won't be useful. It's a decent skill, it will be useful. Like I say, using a 2k counter when you would not be able to counter. Using a 1k instead of a 2k. Bringing a character down so low that the attack doesn't go through. Making sure your blocker survives for the turn. Like, there are things you can do with this. And this will be on the board, essentially, for the entire game. This is a skill that you can just always use. You don't have to use any resources. You don't have to discard a card from your hand. You don't have to pay any Don. It's not like Buggy where you've got to wait, well, at least 3 turns, maybe more, in order to actually get it working. There is a very good chance that this will essentially give you value every turn, all game. And not every leader can say that. Not every leader can promise value every turn for the entire game. That is one of the cool things about this Shanks leader. It is always working. Because when you compare it to some of the other leaders out there, the skill looks frankly uninspiring. Like, compare this to something like a Nell, that when you go from 0 down to 1 life, gives you an extra life. That is a stunning skill. Phenomenal skill. Think of the Luffy from the same set that lets you add a card from your Don and then set it as active while you also get a card from your life into your hand to give you card advantage. But that's going to work for a couple of turns and then run out of steam. Shanks is always going to be there. A Nell is a great skill, but it's not going to work every turn, but it still gives you life. You know, that's phenomenal. Think about the Jewelry Bonnie from OP-07, which has had a really good start in the Western OP-07 meta. That for the cost of 1, just literally 1, you get to rest any leader or character. Bearing in mind that's not just going to bring down by 1,000, that's going to stop an attack entirely. Bonnie on the face of it looks a lot like a much better version of Shanks. Why bring them down by 1,000 power when you can just rest them entirely? But of course, they're different colours and there's other factors going on. There's all kinds of reasons to go for one over the other. I'm just saying that Shanks will always work, and that's why the skill looks a little bit weaker. Jewelry Bonnie you've got to pay for. Shanks is free. I'm not saying it's amazing, but I'm also saying it's decent. It's all right. Now, since we've got these leaders, we might as well give ourselves a reminder of the others. Nico Robin looks like it might be the star of this set. We have a yellow-purple leader with Banish. And when attacking, you can trash the card with Trigger from your hand to add a Don card from your Don deck rested. That seems like a very, very strong leader. I still think Marshall D. Teach Blackbeard looks really good. That's the one. It says that your on-play skills don't activate, so you have to make a deck without on-play skills or else that's a complete waste of time. But we've got an activate main, trash a card from your hand, and on your opponent's next turn or until the end of your opponent's next turn, their on-play skills don't activate either. But of course, they haven't built a deck with no on-play skills like you have. I don't think everyone is looking at Blackbeard as excited as I am. And I might be wrong here. I've been wrong before. As an example, I was convinced that Nefertari Vivi back in OP-04 was going to be a great leader. I was absolutely convinced Nefertari Vivi was going to be amazing, and we all saw how that turned out. But I still think Blackbeard is at the very least incredibly interesting. We've then got ourselves Lemur, which, I mean, look, there's got to be something else going on here. There has got to be some good Odyssey cards in the set, because right now I full on don't like this leader. All of your characters enter play rested, which means your opponent can always attack them straight away and take them out, which is super annoying. And we've got an activate main, once per turn, rest free Don, and then you add a Don card from your Don deck rested and play a 5 cost or lower Odyssey card from your hand. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a nice skill, but you've got to pay free Don or rest free Don. And yeah, all of your characters come in rested, that is a gigantic downside. So I am incredibly skeptical about Lim, alright? But then again, all we need is a couple of really good Odyssey cards, and that one turns around. We've then got ourselves a Luffy, and if anyone's paying attention, yes, that is 3 purple leaders in this set. We've got purple and black Luffy, purple and green Lim, and purple and yellow Nico Robin. Literally half of the leaders in this set are part purple. Now, they're only part purple, there's no fully purple leaders, but that still seems high. All the other colours are represented, of course, but yellow is only as part of Nico Robin, for instance. Green is only here as part of Lim. Sorry about that. And Monkey D. Luffy, the last leader, of course, what we've got here is Don X1. All of your characters get +1 cost, which will help with those cards that activate when you got a card of X cost on your field, and will also help against removal that depends on the cost of particular characters. And then we've got Activate Main once per turn. When you return 2 or more Don to your Don deck, you put 1 Don out active and 1 Don out rested. I also think Luffy could end up being pretty good. Luffy, Nico Robin and Blackbeard are the 3 I've got my eye on personally. I do think Nico Robin looks like the best, but we're going to have to wait and see as it goes. But hey, there's a comment section. Maybe you go to the comment section. Maybe you tell me what you think the best leader is, and we all have a good old chat about the leaders in the set. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.